one riff that just out of nowhere is one of the most economical riffs I've ever heard, and so fun because I could really hear James laughing when he came up with it. Is the like that's funny. That's funny. That's a funny riff. James Hetfield is definitely one of the best guitar players that has ever walked this earth. Even though I know sort of theoretically how to play Master of Puppets, it's impossible to play downstrokes the way that he does from start to finish for 7 minutes.
Now that Metallica are wearing Misfits t-shirts, I think it's had a big impact on metal.
James Hetfield gave the legions of rockers the okay to like punk rock, so it must be okay now.
Lars doesn't, he won't ever cop to this, but he was getting canned when the guys were coming back from the European tour before Cliff died. They planned on getting rid of him, you know? I mean,
yeah.
And I mean, I wish them the best of luck. I think that the world knows now. I mean, I like James more than Lars. I think everybody does. And I've all, you know, I have no problems with James, you know.
Yeah.
Don't really like Kurt because he got my job, but, you know, I nailed his girlfriend before I left, so.
Whoa!
You're on tour in Europe with Metallica. Lars takes you to some bar or wherever you go. You meet your future wife. Like, I don't know what the universe is telling you, but like Metallica has something to do with it. Did you ever think of that?
So who told you that? Did I tell you that? I tell my kids all the time, you know, Lars is practically their godfather, you know, because, and he knows, without you, I wouldn't meet my wife. I wouldn't have my kids right now, because he's the one who told us to meet him at a bar, like a specific bar. And that was, turns out, it was my wife's favorite place to go. So that's how we met. Yeah, it was incredible. Metallica brought me so much, you know, and it really inspired me so much, helped me to go through high school, eventually made me, you know, start what became my life today, my musical journey. And then they took us on tour and brought us all the way to Lithuania, where I met my wife.
I was at Bradley's house with Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich, and we were just hanging out. He's amazing. I went to see them live. I saw them recently, and we were watching the show. Those guys play better than they've played in their whole lives.
Metallica kind of, they did their own thing, and they really held their ground about their approach to music and their exposure in the world of music. And I think finally all their efforts paid off when they finally put out the Black album. It was kind of like they'd arrived and their crowd had kind of followed them the whole way. A really interesting pairing was watching Metallica and Nine Inch Nails at Woodstock, kind of watching the old guard and the new guard kind of exchanging time on the stage, where you have Nine Inch Nails had kind of like been the child coming in the new year, and Metallica was like the old wizard kind of handing the torch over.
All of us cut our teeth, you know, playing in bands by learning Metallica cover songs, you know.
When I first heard Metallica, it completely changed my whole guitar rig, my amp, you know, my whole playing style. It just opened up a whole new world that I could relate to. I look up to James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett, and it's like guitar gods.
I think back to a time before Metallica. Everything sucked. Everybody was a pretty boy. No, not every. Okay, Black Sabbath, Motorhead, there was good stuff, but really, things were desperate. Everybody's teased hair, spandex, it was horrible. But then one band came along, 4 regular guys, t-shirts, jeans, skull-crushing metal, here to kill them all. And they changed metal forever. And they are still here because they are still great. They are still Metallica.
When I was a kid growing up, Metallica influenced me in a whole bunch of ways. When I was 13, you know, I got my first Master of Puppets CD, and I got challenged to like learn the whole thing on drums, and it changed my life. I don't know. Metallica's the Thank you.
Metallica's a really important band, you know, not only to me and Travis, but I think really in the history of rock and roll. You know, it's really hard to pull off a song that's got a lot of melody and a lot of soul and a lot of heart, you know, and at the time to make it a really hard metal song. And they did that with one.
メタリカさんで、私たちが初めて見たメタルバンドさんがメタリカさんだったし、メタリカさんを見た時にこれがメタルなんだっていうのを学ぶきっかけになった方だったので、前に一度お会いしていたことはあったんですけど、また再会、ヘビーモントリオールのフェスでまた再会することができて、でしかもメタリカさんのショーをまた見ることができて、その時は本当に幸せでした。
When I did Glastonbury, it was the first time that I went. It was right before actually that the world knew that I was getting a divorce, but I knew that I was about 2 weeks before Glastonbury. And I had just lost my house in the fires, and this was my first show back. And so Nothing Else Matters to me was about the music because, you know, this whole conversation is just resonating with me. To hear like James say that he was afraid of something, and knowing that at that point I was afraid of so much, I was so heartbroken. And my purpose was coming from this performance. I got sober at that time. I really pulled my fucking shit together. And this song was what drove me to that place, because I knew that nothing else mattered. My life in regards to love was kind of falling apart, but I had my love for music. So this is my love letter to music. That's what it means to me.